Welcome back. Last week on Behind the Screams, Ray Spivey took us inside the chaos of indie horror filmmaking, the making of Weedhacker Massacre, and how he went from being an artist to a filmmaker. But this week, things get even more interesting. We're diving into why Austin has become such a unique filmmaking town, why horror might actually be good for us psychologically, and somehow we end up talking about Moonlight Towers, serial killers, and how Texas may have had the very first serial killer in America. Yeah, this one goes to some unexpected places. This is part two of my conversation with filmmaker Ray Spivey. Texas has such a strong horror identity. What makes it such a perfect setting, do you think, for horror?
Actually, Texas is such a big state that it's like multiple countries. For example, East Texas could be its own country with the thick woods, and you go through the hills and everything, and you can't see past the few feet past the roadway, and you go, "What the hell goes on out there? And who are people living out there? And what are they doing other than raising some kind of illegal drug crop?" Uh, Same thing with West Texas. No country for old men. You can go miles and miles and not see anything. And if your car breaks down out there and you don't run in to help you, you're on your own. It's
That's a
tough.
great
So
point.
I think that's that. And so when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out and they said it was kind of based on a true story, we all went, well, yeah, makes perfect sense to me.
So, working with Alan Danzig or someone connected to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, did that influence your approach to the Weed Hacker Massacre?
Oh, it sure did. As you get to know Alan, his number one thing is his humor. And plus that he's just a sweet person. He's so nice to everybody, and I think that the fans recognize that right away when he's at a convention or wherever they flock to him right away.
Yeah.
He's just so magnetic and nice, but he's got this great sense of humor. Sometimes it's a little bit vaudevillian,
Hmm.
He's got these great jokes, about how in fact there was this one where we were at a screening of some movie having to do with chainsaw. It was a real small town, and they had a warm up band, and the band was getting up on stage, and they were actually so old they were all using walkers.
Oh,
And Alan turns to me, and says, "Ray, you know what the average age is here?" I go, What?" He goes, "Dead." It was brutal, but he's got that just rapid fire sense of humor.
he
So
really
that was
does.
easy. He does, and so that was easy to work with him because I'm kind of like that, and probably a little weirder sense of humor. But it helped me to kind of see what his vision might be for this, and to make sure that he had fun, doing this and being a part of it. And like I always tell him, it's your movie. So
Yeah. Do you feel like in your own way you're contributing to that sort of Texas horror legacy?
I don't know, boy. There's some big shoes to fill here. And we've got so many directors here in Austin or Texas, I should say, that have lent just amazing work. So yeah, if I ever get to that point, I'd just be happy with Weed Hacker being a cult movie. That'd be great,
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, my next one that we're working on right now, I think is going to be incredibly scary. It's no comedy.
Oh.
Except for Alan's in it, and he's got his hardest role. He's played a billionaire and a sheriff, and now he's playing himself. So this is a funny little bit he's in. But yeah, it's God, there's just so many giants that have walked this, and if you could even be thought of just microscopically in that same vein, you're lucky. Because Austin's kind of become a little bit of a film capital in its way. So the king of it is Toby Hooper
Right.
with Chainsaw Massacre. Robert Rodriguez has done some ventures into the horror genre with Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Fantastic, over the top vampire scene in the bar and everything. And but yeah, it's Zach Krieger just did Weapons, which is
Hmm.
an amazing job. One of the scarier movies around, and he
Yes.
had spent some time in Austin, Texas. I think he met his wife here on
Yeah.
set during a movie here. So and one night I was walking with my date years ago in downtown Austin, and guy passes by, and I turn around and I say to her, "I think that's Freddy Krueger." And sure enough, it was Robert Englund just walked
Love
by. So
it.
you never know who are you going to run into?
You mentioned something wild about Austin possibly being one of the first places a serial killer came, and it connects to the Moonlight Towers. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. It was a fascinating thing I found out when I did this documentary called Last of the Moonlight Towers. And Austin is the last place in the world where we still have these 16-story electric light towers. Everywhere else in the world, London, northern United States, whatever, they're gone. They rusted away. And it ties into Matthew McConaughey's comment that most of your fans would know from Dazed and Confused, Party at the Moon Towers, where they climb this tower and drink a lot
Oh,
of beer.
yeah, yeah.
But back around 1885 in Austin, all of a sudden these women started getting brutally murdered,
Mm.
knifed, axed. It was just right out of a horror movie today, and the police had no idea. They were just bringing in people as suspects, and they had never seen anything like this. Seven murders at first. Then they had two last ones, and the last one happened on Christmas Eve. The whole town was in a panic, and as you know, in Texas, everybody owns a gun. Well, they went out and bought more guns, so that definitely happened. But it was called the Servant Girl Annihilator, and they had no idea who it was. Nobody had ever seen anything like this. They had theories that it was a group of men, a gang of men, were doing all these murders. Could not believe it was one person. And then the strangest thing, all of a sudden, it stopped. Nothing
Mm.
happened. But people were so upset. And the idea is that some 10 years later, the population was still so upset in Austin that the city invested in these moonlight towers to light the streets and stuff. And
Ah,
interestingly, there is a moonlight tower right next to the house where the last woman was killed on Christmas Eve in around 1885. So
wow.
that was really interesting. But anyway, 3 years later, uh, England has a problem. These prostitutes are getting murdered, slashed, and everything like that.
Ah,
And
yeah.
Scotland Yard had never seen this. The only thing they ever heard of is something that was going on in Austin, Texas. So there happened to be a
So
Buffalo
Jack the
Bill
Ripper
Wild West
came
show. That's
after.
it. They believed it. They really did. So there were some cowboys that stayed in London after the Buffalo Bill Wild West show had been there, and Scotland Yard called them in and questioned them. And for a long time, they thought this has to be the same person. But over time, I think that's kind of been dissuaded. But that just goes to show you how rare a so-called serial killer was, that nobody had ever heard of it before.
Right, yes. Do you feel like real history like that subconsciously fuels horror storytelling?
Oh, big time. If you can take a story, any story like Chainsaw, and you think there's a hint of truth in it, and play it up bigger than life, it just makes it more delicious for the horror fan.
Oh yeah, it's amazing to me even till this day how many people still think that that's a completely true story. Oh, that really happened in Texas and blah blah.
Sure.
And I'm like, no, no, it didn't.
Right.
What is something that you think people romanticize about filmmaking that is completely false?
I think a lot of us are movie fans. That's how we start out, and we see a movie, and instantly our eyes and ears are drawn to the flaws in that movie, and immediately we think, I could do better than that. It's easy. I can do better
Oh,
than
it's
that.
not that
No,
hard.
no, you have no idea. And I think that's the toughest part about any film, is that people are going to recognize the flaws or the mishits more, and it'll tend to stay in their minds. So it's really hard to make a mostly perfect movie as you see it. But as we explore in Weedhacker Massacre, you can never have enough money. Money's always at a premium, and you're trying to figure out ways to cut corners. But I think that's the exciting thing about indie filmmaking, because
Yeah,
you're really having to, on the fly, come up
yeah.
with things, and sometimes those are a lot more inventive, creative, and more effective than had you had $1 million to do it.
What almost broke you during production?
During Weedhacker Massacre, let me see, we had a really good set, and a lot of the folks I had worked with before. So we had kind of over the years eliminated, any kind of difficult folks. And it's just going to happen when, whether you know somebody or not, you never know how somebody's going to react to the pressure of all
Hmm.
this. And I'll tell you what was really challenging about Weedhacker. It's my fault as a writer. It was a big movie. We had over 50 extras. We had about 20 stunt people. That big scene at the end was Uh, my director, Jody Stelzig, who's a stuntman, wanted to do it. And you talk about a complex fight scene. We
Hmm.
filmed that one night, 2 in the morning. Everybody's upset at me and Jody. It's cold. Last night, we'd already been working about 11, 12 hours, and they just wanted to go home, but we somehow got through it. So that might have been the biggest challenge that, we got everybody to do it, and they still talk to us this day. That's fantastic.
Okay, so what is one lesson that you wish you had known before you got started in film?
That's a toughie. That's a toughie. I think you want to make sure you have enough word of mouth from people that this person is good. Because if they just come in for an audition or whatever, you're basically only getting a few minutes to see what they're like and everything. And a big part of it, and I'm sure it's on Hollywood sets. We hear about people that are divas and things like that that totally
Hmm.
ruin a set. But it's sometimes it's just going to happen anyway. But I think you just want to try to keep that to a minimum. You want to have personalities that are patient, understand that they're going to make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes, and let's move on. And just not have somebody there it's all about them, because it's really about the film.
Yeah. Yeah. Team players. Yeah.
That's right.
Why do you think people enjoy horror, especially horror comedy?
I think with the super stress we have in our lives these days, uh, trying to stay ahead of the economy, job status, relationships, everything's more complicated. It's faster because of the internet
Hmm.
than it was, 20 years ago or whatever. People need some kind of a release. And
Yeah.
we are finding out that people I never would have thought of as being super horror fans. We have a neighbor down the street, mother of two young girls.
Yeah.
She can't get enough of it. It's crazy, but there's something kind of therapeutic, I think, about it. You
Yeah.
you get a little scared, but it's not real. You have a great laugh at a comedy, and boy, that's wonderful. And if you as a filmmaker can make that happen, that's just golden.
Do you think that laughter is a release from fear?
Definitely. I think not enough people laugh enough every day. Sadly, some of them just aren't funny. But it helps to, I think, laugh as much as you can, and don't take yourself so seriously, and don't take what people say or do so
Yeah.
seriously, because life goes on. Have a
Yeah.
laugh and move on.
Do you think horror can actually be therapeutic?
But yeah, I think it really is. And again, you get that sense of danger or fear, but there's no consequences to it.
Hmm.
You realize on some level it's not real. You're in a theater or at home or whatever watching it, and you can walk out of this. Unlike a Freddy Krueger dream, you can go on to have a normal life.
Right. Favorite horror movie of all time?
I really have to say I like The Thing from the 80s, but I equally like the black and white Thing from the 50s. I thought there were two completely different takes on kind of the same subject matter, and so interesting in how they made them. It was really, really fascinating.
Okay.
And great practical effects in the Kurt Russell version. Boy, were they great.
Funniest kill in a horror.
Funniest kill in a horror. Boy, that one is tough. Let me get back to you. Nothing's coming to
That's okay.
mind
I'll
right
give
now.
you one of
I know
mine
I've
that
got
comes
one.
to, you want to hear
Okay,
mine?
yeah, let's hear yours.
So,
Sure.
Friday the 13th, one where he take the guy's in the bed and he just grabs the bed and like folds the bed together and the guy's like backwards folded together. I mean, it's supposed to be like, horrifying, which
Right.
as a kid, I think when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. But now watching it, I'm like, that's just so funny. What is one horror trope that you love?
I love the old classics, of Dracula, Frankenstein. Those old stories are
Hmm.
fantastic. Um, and I think anything that you have where somebody's in a confined space,
Hmm.
that
Okay.
you have to stay in that house, and it's limited to what you can do, where you can go, and everything, and that
Yeah.
anything can happen right around the corner. I mean, what a perfect trope.
Yeah. Sort of being trapped. Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I agree. That's a good one. What's one that you think could be deleted forever?
A type of trope deleted forever.
Hmm.
I would say a lot of remakes. If that's not a trope, but sometimes, man, we dig deep into and I guess anybody will watch it, but are we at some point going to get into um, Jason 34, 50, whatever,
Yeah.
and it's tough. I don't know how you keep making those things fresh.
Favorite villain of all time?
Uh, Boy, not in a horror movie. I love, I'm forgetting his name. No Country for Old Men. I thought
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
Javier Bardem
Bardem.
did a
Yeah.
marvelous job. Bardem did a marvelous job with him. He was probably one of the all-time greatest serial killers,
He was
I thought.
chilling in that role. Ray, where can people watch Weedhacker Massacre? I watched it on Tubi last night. Is it anywhere else?
It is. It turns out it's on YouTube. I think Dread Central's showing it. It's on Amazon Prime and so many other channels. I couldn't even name them. I think if you go to certain hotels, it's there, on the playlist. But that's kind of
Awesome.
the way these things are. You sign up. We got a great distributor, Buffalo 8, and they've put the movie everywhere. So
Nice.
enjoy.
Okay. What's next for you?
I have a horror movie we're going to film here in about a week and a half. It's called Soul Hoarder. It's a different take on a vampire. It's a pure horror film, although there's a little bit of comedy in it. And we're lucky enough to have Alan Danziger in it again. He plays himself, and I think that scene's pretty funny.
Why should someone hit play tonight on this episode?
I think you're fantastic, so I'd watch that for sure. But I like your take on all this in terms of what does horror and killers and things like that. What does that draw? Why does that draw us in?
Hmm.
And what does that play in our society as it is today? And of course, I just did a movie where has that. We have a kind of a serial killer and kind of a campy way, but hopefully to bring some laughs. But I do think it provides some kind of general overall positive aspect for people to be able to have this escapism. And I appreciate you doing this, and you do a great podcast. So thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on Behind the Screams. I'm excited for you guys starting the new movie. Are y'all filming in Austin, Hill Country area, or
We are. We're in
okay?
Austin, and as I mentioned before, we're going with the inside one house thing. So it'll
Okay.
make it easier on filming and everything, and will
Oh
definitely, I
yeah.
think, make it scarier.
And it ups the ante with the scary. I like that. I
Yeah.
do. I do. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Ray. We appreciate you. This has been another edition of Behind the Screams with Ray Spivey, producer of Weedhacker Massacre.